But beyond that, there was a range of people, people who were actually right here, who brought varied expertise and knowledge to the table that I really wasn't aware of. But here they were all arrayed, they were all available to me in the future as the needs that business presents. I would absolutely recommend China Business Bootcamp to anyone conducting China business.
By the way, Chinese culture is about food, money, and survival. Chinese friends of mine, their kids come home from school in America, and they say, "Mommy, Daddy, my friends asked me what my religion is." They said, you know, "I'm Christian, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim, what are you?" And they say, "Tell them you're Chinese." So essentially, this situation of the Chinese having a great deal of power and wealth has happened to them before. They look at Americans and, you know, we're only 300 years old. And in our 300 years of history versus their 5,000, we've amassed a tremendous amount of wealth and sophistication and technology and power. So clearly we're onto something. And the last 30 years of China's opening to the West has pretty much been about them deciding that they want to know what we're onto. They want to learn it. They want to internalize it. They want to convert it for their own uses. So joining WTO is an example. They look at the American miracles through the years and say, oh, there's something magical there. There's Harvard. Sorry, Penn's not on with us yet. There's Wall Street. Oops, they kind of followed the wrong god there. There's Silicon Valley. And they want the magic of Silicon Valley and Wall Street and Harvard to remain the magical sources of America's power in the world. And they've invested a great amount of their time and money trying to figure out how Silicon Valley and Wall Street and Harvard have that is valuable to us in our home markets or to European markets or elsewhere is not necessarily what's most relevant to them. They need to respect you. You need to have their respect if you're going to get anywhere. And the only way you're going to have their respect is by continually projecting all of your strengths. You have to be able to define your strength again in a way that's relevant to them. They have likely are not going to respect you for the same reasons that your American competitors or your European competitors or partners respect you. You'll have to define what you are. Still in the skin, and I can't always tell when I'm getting anywhere. And so I came to this articulation as a yardstick. If we're getting somewhere, it means we have earned respect, which is stimulated in relationship terms and is expressed ultimately in transactions. If I can look at my progress over any period of time and see some evidence that I've earned respect and that it is being expressed in relationship terms, I think that eventually I'm going to get where I need to go.
Great opportunity to learn more about what we can do to foster that relationship and try to develop new relationships with clients in China. And generally, I was really impressed with this entire, the conference where the food camp were. Because usually when you come to an event like this, there'll be one good speaker or one really great panel. But I thought everything today was consistently good. All the speakers were fantastic. They presented different points of view, and the panels were very useful, both from a practical point of view and also just, they have specific information that you wouldn't have known otherwise.
The actual results were beyond what I expected. I would highly recommend this boot camp for those people who are intending to do business with China, either importing or exporting.
But a big factor here is there are very few companies, there are very few big cities now in China that are company towns, right? In Shanghai, there's no one dominant employer the way there's going to be in a town of 750,000, which would be a town in China, out in Minhang or something. And the other thing that's starting to come out in some pretty careful studies is that second and third tier cities, the Xi'an, the Chengdu, the thriving next ring in, thrive partly because of cost competitive advantage. But there's pretty robust data that suggests it's also because they're better governed, that they are starting to, they have an institutional advantage, including in the sense that people get law and you can get some enforcement. The law on the books has gotten to be pretty good now, and it's getting better all the time. The real problems now are in some ways still the old ones of too little law. Statutes are very sparse. You still have to interpret from some very limited language to figure out what the rules are. But increasingly the problem is there's too much law. There's just regulations all over the place, and the statute's been superseded by another statute, but the regs still hang off the old statute. So the problems are becoming much more lawyerly ones, trying to line up what exactly the law is. Is this local ordinance really in conflict with the national legislation, which it can't be? You can't figure that out in court. You have to appeal up the chain to get it resolved. But these are very lawyerly problems. They're parsing text. They're figuring out hierarchy of sources of law. You're trying to just drink from the fire hose instead of dig through the haystack with the needle. And that's become the task, and that's a very conventionally lawyerly task, made more difficult with time. So that's part of the story. The simple lack of cultural and physical resources and institutional resources devoted to making these laws real is still a significant constraint. 160, 200,000 lawyers, still not very much. Even if 1/6 of them are in Shanghai, that's still not very much. Judges aren't terribly well paid. There are all sorts of issues that lead to the lack of the ability to make all
the China Business Network. We were able to assemble really the best China minds and players in the city of Philadelphia. And they really brought together the people with the most experience. I think everyone I've spoken to has left with the clear impression that they learn more today and they know more now about China than when they started. It was an excellent group of panelists and also very engaged audience. If China Boot Camp is coming to your city, sign up early so you make sure you get a seat.